What's up guys, I'm Dunmere, I'm a rank 1 peak Supervive player, and I have almost 1,000 hours played in this game already, 100 of which were on Felix. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys a rundown on what the best items are for him, the best powers, and the best level up order for Felix. Getting right into it, starting with the items. Felix is actually a really unique and cool character, because I think he has the highest amount of build diversity of any character in the game. It might not be quite as visible from the way I did this tier list, including that little typo I have of keeping Last Stand up there in the middle of the top best builds. Hopefully that's not there on the video, but if it is, oh well, GG. But there's a lot of things that you can put on him and a lot of options that are viable, and there's like unique things that you can put on him and try out. So having said that, he's not only viable in terms of like the different weapons within each different version of his specializations, but he can go with each specialization. So he can be full damage, he can be in between, or he can be full tank, which is really cool. Having said that, there are two different variations like to the way that you can play Felix. I'm going to start off with the one that's like the most basic and the one that's most expected, which is just your typical jump on the enemy team and engage them build. With that, you have a really high damage, high sustain, or high like burst sustain build with this first one here of Rampage and Last Stand. Rampage got really bad in this patch, but Felix is one of the few characters that can still use it because it stacks up to level 10 really quickly on his primary fire, and it gives him that 50 extra AP when he hits that max level. So you're getting a lot of damage. However, Last Stand is a new item in the game right now that gives him a lot of sustain when he drops down below 40% HP. Once you hit 40% HP, you get extra Omnivamp, 5% more, and then you get your all healing received until you hit 40% HP, or you burst over 40% HP, increased by 50%, which is really cool. And so that's really, really valuable for Felix. You're going to be able to like be dropping below that if you get really low, but you're going to be burning people and you're getting extra Omnivamp, especially if you get to power like oh, I can't think of what it's called, but it's the raged one. Anyway, whatever, where you just damage yourself a little bit and you get more Omnivamp. I'll talk about in the power section. But popping that when you get low is really crazy in this build. And you're going to go really hard, really fast. You're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to heal yourself a bunch. And there's a lot that you can do, right? That's the first build. The second build is something more like Guardian's Respite and Helmut Gigantism pop together, where you do technically have like the highest like raw stat output, because you get extra AP with Helmut Gigantism based on how much HP extra you have. And then you have that bonus 50% max HP shield from Guardian's Respite. So you're getting like a lot of just stats, right? And then cooldown reduction, which is cool. But those going in together, you can just pop enemies and sustain against them, pull a lot of aggro. You won't deal as much damage, but you can do a lot of CC orientation, and then so it's a playstyle variation, right? Which one of these do you mainly like? However, there is another complete different variation to Firefox Felix, which seems kind of crazy because it kind of just seems like you just walk in on the character. But I found another build, and it's giga cheesy, and they'll probably patch it out of the game at some point. But we're gonna have fun playing it while it's still available, and that is this weird messed up build that I have here of Mindblade, Amplifier, not Last Stand, that's not there, and Meditation boots. So if you play Firefox and then you max his RMB to 3, so max the like ranged fire throw to level 3, every time you hit it, it gets cooldown reduction by 33%. That's it's extra benefit on top of getting a bunch of extra damage, right? But with the Mind Blade giving you extra mana when you hit people with any ability, like a bonus of 10, and then restoring your mana by 20 when you hit an enemy, which I believe is the exact amount of mana that it costs to send out that Embry Firebolt, you're able to sit there and just spam it, right? Now here's where Tech Blade comes in, the Amplifier. Amplifier works where it gives you a bonus 5% cooldown reduction every time you use an ability in a row, right? When you stop using it, you use a different ability, it resets. But if you sit there and you spam the Firebolt over and over and over again, its base cooldown will drop down to 0.7 seconds if you hit an enemy, and you raise the flame level on somebody. Sorry, I said it's every time you hit an enemy that you raise your that you get a 33% cooldown reduction. It's actually every time you light someone, like increase your ignite level. You ignite them or you raise it on anybody, which effectively is hitting them with the firebolt, right? And so you're launching these firebolts, you're hitting people. If you hit one person, you're getting a 0.7 second cooldown. So you spam it, and then you just spam it again. And then if you're hitting people and then you're flaming them both together, like you hit one, and then you hit the same person again, it'll spread it to the people around them, and then you'll get a insta-free cooldown. And it does about 400 damage every time it hits it, right? And so you have the mana to be able to sit there and just spam this ability, which by the way has a range that's longer than Myth's primary fire. And you can sit there and you just perma spam, and it does AoE damage too, because when you hit people, the same person twice, it'll spread it to their allies. So this is like, this just dumb, insane levels of just range spam on this melee character. And then you sit there and you spam and you spam and you spam and you spam, you get people low, and then when they're low, you can ult in and blow them up, right? You know, don't tell anyone. I want to make a proper video on this whole build because it's so cool. But yeah, having said that, you know, if you're not trying to do weird cheese or you're trying to just modify one of these other builds, you could do something like trade out Overdrive for Last Stand. It's not as good, but if you think you can have the ability to like maybe like blow up people before they've done any damage to you, or you're running like a Guardian's Respite with it, Overdrive can be good to stack up HP with your Omnivamp above level, you know, 100% HP, so that's kind of cool. And I think there's also some niche uses for something like Turbo Booster with your dashes, giving you the extra movement speed. If you do end up needing a mana helm, go ahead and pop Scholar on, trade it out for like probably your Helm of Gigantism. Go Guardian's Respite, Helm of Gigantism, or Guardian's Respite, Scholar, and you should get like insane value, right? Yeah, so anyway, these are your options here, guys. Have fun with them and go experiment. All right, jumping right into it on our level up order here. On Felix, there's really no good reason to not go for your dash originally. You get those 2 dash charges, and there's no reason, none of the other abilities do like enough AoE damage to like justify sneaking it in beforehand to blow up a mob camp. So dash. Then you're gonna wanna go for the bolt, the Embry Firebolt here. That bolt will give you just so much extra ability to poke enemies and set up an enemy to be full ignited in an early fight. And let you just play without having to fully engage on enemies. Sit there and poke, and maybe once you hit someone, then you can engage them type thing. It's really useful. There's like an argument to go for the other one instead, go for the spin. Maybe if you see like a really good opportunity and you haven't chosen yet, you can pop the spin and go in. It's pretty close, but I would say go spin third. Having said that, you're going to want to upgrade your Firebolt to level 2 after, you know, at level 4 here. You're not going to want to be going for one of the other ones because the value you're getting them isn't quite as much. Just because you're getting a -3 second cooldown on the Firebolt. And the Firebolt is honestly a lot of Felix's value. It's a difference between getting a good engage on someone or taking that person and blowing them up effectively. So that's extremely valuable. But really what it is that we're trying to get that bad boy up to level 3 ASAP. Just because of this spam build variant that I'm talking about. And even if you don't have the spam build variant, you're going to want to have this anyway. I do recommend going that spam build variant and then poking, and then, you know, then playing off of that afterwards. But like I said, even if you aren't, it's still really valuable to have it on such a low cooldown and max it to level 3 because it allows you to spread the fire that you're putting on people. So that's extremely, extremely valuable. Because if you hit someone that's ignited, you level them up and then you spread the fire. So it's really, really good. For level 5, you got to go for the ultimate. It's too valuable. But then for level 6, we're going to be going on to another level up of this Firebolt. Again, it's getting plus 60% base damage, plus 200% AP ratio damage, so it's turning into like an actual threat. And then you're set up basically at that point to do your just spam, explode, do whatever. And like I said, this is the way to go, even not in this build. Maybe if you're running like a super tanky build and you're not trying to play for these like your damage really at all, you could go to get your spin to level 3, basically replace your spin with the Firebolt positioning, and do level 4 spin, level 6 spin, heat shield. But if you're not trying to do that, then go this way, right? At level 7, you're going to want to go on ahead and upgrade your heat shield. getting a -4-second cooldown is a pretty big deal in it, compared to the 1.5-second cooldown reduction you get on the dashes, which isn't quite as good. Considering you have your ultimate, which is a whole entire other movement cooldown itself, and will usually be your engage anyway. At level 8, though, you can go on ahead and level up your dash. At that point, it's pretty useful to go ahead and do it, because at level 9, you can go for getting plus 25% extra damage on your ultimate, which is like okay, but that's not really crazy, and the cooldown on it is pretty long. So if you're not pretty long, it's not a 45-second cooldown. It's not insane. It is one that I would argue maybe you could do it at level 8, because it is getting to the point where you could use it in one fight and get it back towards the end of the fight, or get it in time by a team when a team's gonna third party you. But that's not guaranteed. So getting that 15-second cooldown reduction from 45 to 30 seconds isn't like as insane as it kind of seems it is. It's like makes the value trade like even, whereas with other ultimates it's like completely useless to get like a 15-second cooldown reduction. So this is what I would run for the levels. So jumping right into it on Felix's powers. Felix's powers are going to be pretty specialized towards his build. Now you do have to keep in mind that the build that you have on your items can be guaranteed, but the build you can get on your powers can't, right? So you got to think of these power tier lists as something that you should just have in your mind, and when you see better powers than the ones you picked up on this list, better powers, you know, higher up powers on this list, you trade out the bottom lower ones for the higher ones, right? You cycle through them. But your powers are going to customize towards your build. So if you're running one of these like high tanky sustain based builds, you're going to get a lot of value from doing something like running this Berry Eater combo here. Because if you're one of the tanky versions, then you're definitely gonna get a lot of value, right, from this ability to sit there and pop out the vines and then heal yourself. But you're gonna get a lot of value from it even on something like the Last Stand version of the full damage Felix. So you can go ahead and do that. Similarly with the sustain axe here, the delicate barrier that gives you 50% damage reduction, that one's useful too. And then, yeah, so you're looking for something like that, right? If you're playing a full damage, you're going to get even more value from these invisibility abilities like Brushwhacker, this invisibility cloak, the delicate disguise. Those are pretty good. And that's like the brown face there on the left, and then the blue hood and the weird ear looking thing on the top left. Those will let you get into a position to flank people and then walk in and then just start blowing them up, right? And hit them with like the firebolt them, or, you know, like dash them, burn them a little bit, firebolt them, or firebolt them, dash them, burn them, depending on if there's people around them or not, or if you have the dash level up to level 3, that doesn't full stack anymore. But you're going to do that combo, blow someone up, but if you're tanky, it's not going to get as much value, right? So you're going to go lean towards these invisibility items on a lighter build. Similarly, with some of these powers that are more like locking down an area oriented, like using like this anti-mobility field here, the purple guy, or like a sand wall that is really good at keeping people, like sustaining yourself and people like get on top of you rather than you getting on top of them, or stopping people from going through you. That's really good with that spam build I talked about, right? Certain items are just going to be amazing in general. Grappling hook's going to be insane to just keep you on top of people. Blink Dagger's just really good for Firefox. This Fate Rewinder here at the top, the 2 exotics are insane just in general. But here's something I want to talk about that's really good for Felix, is Bungee. So I've never seen anyone use it yet, so maybe I'm the first person to talk about this, but Felix can ult through his Bungee to get a double distance roughly on his ultimate. So not only is it insane just for locking down areas of the map, putting it on the side and putting over the abyss and stopping like right at the edge of the abyss to stop people from getting past you and like sustain your backline or yourself when you're doing the spam stuff, but it also, you know, and useful for just backing up into and jumping into the enemy team with, getting a free dash. But literally if you ult through it, and it's really simple, you put it down, you stand behind it, you press your ult, and it just doubles your speed and therefore doubles the distance that you go, and therefore also like doubles the distance that you put down your fire field, right? Meaning you can ult from a further away. You don't have to get close to an enemy, and it's harder for them to avoid you. So it's pretty darn insane. I'm going to make a full video on that and explain it all to you guys. So keep an eye out for that one. And in the meantime, play around with these builds. You know, customize these powers up to your build. Play around with like what you're trying to consider get as you play the game. So yeah, guys. Cool. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions or have anything to say, go ahead and throw them into the comments below, or come follow me on my Twitch and my YouTube when I'm streaming, and go ask them there.